Republican candidate Judge Jefferson Griffin is finally on the verge of winning his election for North Carolina Supreme Court from November 2024. That's right, nearly 6 months later, an appeals court has ruled that 65,000 North Carolina residents must be able to prove their identity and/or citizenship, or else their votes are going to be thrown out. So, as the race currently stands, the Democrat candidate for Supreme Court, Allison, leads by 758 votes in North Carolina, compared to Jefferson Griffin, who's at 49.99%. Now, they've done about 3 different recounts, and what's interesting here is that every time they've done recounts, they've actually found votes for both candidates. Usually what happens is one candidate goes up, but another goes down, but in this instance, they've both gone up. Now, this news has been confirmed by multiple news outlets. The New York Times writes, appeals court orders thousands of voters to verify information in contested North Carolina election. But you can really see the spin here from NBC. New court decision in a disputed North Carolina race means 65,000 votes are a step closer to being thrown out. The phrasing thrown out really implies that it's a bad thing, right? But if they're not valid votes, if they're not eligible to be counted, then I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. But when you read that article, it's very clear where NBC stands. Now, those 65,000 voters in North Carolina have 15 business days, or basically 3 weeks, to prove their identity, according to NBC. In the ruling, the Republican majority involved in the decision ordered that a group of more than 65,000 voters whose eligibility was challenged by Republican Supreme Court candidate Jefferson Griffin and his lawyers now have 15 business days to provide state elections officials with the necessary proof of identity that would verify their votes. Now, they are really asking for one of two things, not both. It's an either-or situation, either a driver's license or the last 4 digits of their social security number. So it's very lax. But what I really like about what Jefferson and his lawyers did was they didn't target voters based on any demographics or party affiliation or even their location. This was all based on their voter record files not having any form of identity verification attached to it. So as you can see here, again, from NBC, 5.5 million ballots were cast in the race. And what they did was they went through all 100 counties in North Carolina, went through all of those ballots, and then pulled those 65,000 votes where a driver's license number or social security number was not on file. Now, there were a few instances where people are upset. You can see in the very last paragraph, quote, their protests were also related to overseas voters who haven't lived in North Carolina and overseas voters who failed to provide photo identification with their ballots. So there is a lot of debate about, servicemen and women serving overseas right now, and maybe they just haven't had a chance to provide the proper documentation. But I'm sure all of that will get sorted out. But from what I've read, those instances are a very, very slim minority of that total of 65,000 votes. But what's funny here is the New York Times actually has all these excuses for why the voters, those 65,000 voters, couldn't provide their identity. There is evidence in court filings, however, that many of those voters did not provide that information, but for several reasons, a name change after marriage, key punching mistakes, they never appeared in the database. Well, look, as far as a marriage, I get that with a driver's license, right? But from what I understand, getting married does not change your social security number. You should still have 4 digits that you can provide. You would think that at least a note of that would be made somewhere. And then also, really, they're going to go for key punching mistakes. Well, if you're worried about key punching mistakes, number one, then it shouldn't be difficult to just, hey, here's my ID again. Can you type it in correctly? Or number two, shouldn't that affect people of all parties, Republican, Democrat, Independent, equally? It would be really funny if those key punching mistakes seem to only favor ballots that go in one direction. Personally, for me, I don't think that, especially in today's hyper-politicized and divisive climate, that election integrity is a bad thing. People on both sides have a lot of fears about election integrity, and I think the more you can do to prove that, hey, all the votes were valid, that is great. And even if the Democrat wins, at least Republicans, at least the Republican candidate can go home saying, hey, we gave it a good fight. We just didn't campaign hard enough. Or maybe, hey, the culture has shifted so far to the left, we need to do more to convince other people to see why our side is right. It would be one thing completely, right, if the election was proven to be 100% valid and Republicans still protested and threw a hissy fit. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is that there is a large portion of the population that has lost faith in the system. So instead of shaming people who are doubting the system, why not just prove? With something as simple as identity verification, why not just prove it for them to earn their trust back? I don't see why that's a big deal at all. And for all the Democrats, personally, I think it's racist and classist when Democrats are like, well, those population groups can't afford or aren't smart enough to get identity. Well, even if that was true, then shouldn't your position, instead of trying to make it easier to vote in terms of removing those requirements, shouldn't it be about, hey, let's make sure that those populations get IDs? Let's make, it just doesn't make any sense to me. This, at the end of the day, could go before the Supreme Court if the state Supreme Court affirms the lower court's decision, again, to force the 65,000 voters to prove their identity. That would present a federal constitutional question for consideration by the Supreme Court of the United States. This, according to J. Michael Ludwig, a conservative former federal appeals court judge appointed by President George H.W. Bush. Now, it is not just Republicans who ask for recounts, despite the narrative that Democrats and the media like to push. Of course, in 2016, the Democrats never let go of that loss. That's why we had the Russia hoax. But now we have new information that Kamala Harris herself actually wanted to ask for a recount on election night last year. So take a look at this. Kamala Harris was, quote, completely shocked after finding out she lost to Trump. And she said, quote, should we do a recount? This is according to a new book called Fight Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House by Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes. Though they are both very credible journalists and they have very great reporting. So Amy Parnes was actually doing the podcast round this week to promote the book, and she gave out a few previews of what we can expect in the book. According to Parnes, Kamala Harris was completely shocked, and Tim Walz was shocked. The author, Parnes, indicated that the aides had to explain things slowly to the losing duo. I hope there is footage of that because I would love to see that. They weren't getting it and they couldn't accept it. He, Walz, has no words, and people are kind of explaining to him, same thing with her, and she's like, are you sure? Have we done a recount? Should we do a recount? Parnes said, ooh, yeah, I think people should make a bigger deal about that because I thought questioning elections was an insurrection. I thought that was a big no-no, but turns out Kamala Harris, the Democrat candidate herself, was indeed questioning election results. So basically what happened was they got so into their bubble, and apparently Kamala Harris bought the lies. She bought the Kool-Aid. She truly believed she was going to win. And, during the election on this channel, I went through all the polls showing people why I believe that the polls were not accurately reflecting the will of the people and not accurately reflecting what was going to happen. So it is kind of great from the outside in to be like, oh yeah, they really were deluding themselves, and it really proves that there is such a disconnect between the DC area, the DC bubble, the coastal elites, and what the rest of us see. Now, apparently, when Kamala Harris called President-elect Trump the following morning to concede, a lot of aides were very upset at that phone call. Number one, that it was happening, and then number two, they are now on record saying that Donald Trump is a sociopath because he graciously congratulated Kamala Harris on a race well done. So, according to the Daily Mail, what Trump told Harris, exclusive, the two words Trump said to Kamala in her shambolic concession call that left aide fuming, he's a sociopath. Now, they were very angry about that phone call, and it was really embarrassing for them because they actually couldn't merge the phone calls. So they actually had two different cell phones, and it was an aide cell phone, then Kamala Harris's cell phone, and it was the aide that called Donald Trump. And what they did was they literally pressed the phones together, the cell phones together, so Kamala Harris could talk to Trump. Really embarrassing. If you can't even get call forwarding is not that difficult on a cell phone. I don't know if they were using encrypted government devices, but I'm sorry. If you can't merge a phone call in 2024, 2025, I don't think you should be the one who has access to the nuclear button. Just saying. In case anyone wants more details on how they couldn't merge the phones, feel free to pause the video here and read this portion of the article. But here is exactly what Donald Trump said that left the aide fuming that he was a sociopath. So Harris told Trump on the call, here starting on the second paragraph, "I'm calling to concede it was a fair election. The peaceful transfer of power is important. It's important to the country." And then she added, pointedly, "I hope you're a president for all Americans," Whipple wrote. But it's how Trump reacted to Harris's concession that raised eyebrows. If Trump detected any edge to that remark, he didn't show it. In fact, the president-elect was weirdly cordial and complimentary, bantering as though he were on the golf course, Whipple wrote. Trump told Harris that she was, quote, "great. You're a tough cookie. You were really great. And Doug, what a character. I love that guy," the now president reportedly said of his rival's husband, Doug Emhoff. One of Harris's aides, Whipple wrote, found this odd and inappropriate. "I was like, what?" she recalled. "Honestly, I felt like, what's this? It's so manipulative. He's a sociopath." It's manipulative and sociopathic to show grace in victory? I thought you guys were so afraid that Trump would be a sore winner, that he would be an authoritarian. Right here, I think this shows his more human side, his more, dare I say it, because we don't see it often, maybe a humbler side. The fact that not everyone is gracious in victory. And so I think the Democrats really should be happy about that. But to turn it into attack on Trump is just... I think it's a little ridiculous. Personally, I believe it. I know a lot of people don't believe always the books and the pieces that are written from journalists, right? Because these come from secondhand accounts from people on the campaign trail. But to me, that does sound like something that Trump would say behind the scenes, and it just feels very valid. Before I finish up today's video with a few more stories, I would like to thank the members of this video's Governor's Club, USMC Car, Le Chirano, Genda Minuro, thank you so much, and Italian Gamer Joe. It is always good to see you, Joe. Again, the Governor's Club are people who have either tipped the channel or given super thanks. I just appreciate all of you, and it makes videos like this possible, and it's just, I just want to say thank you for watching videos, and I'm always glad that everyone enjoys. So now that we have more tea and more juice about the phone call between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris in the immediate aftermath of the election, it turns out that Barack Obama himself was actively campaigning against Kamala Harris before the scenes. Now, some of you are probably thinking, well, Daniel, that's old news. Is it though? Because conservatives and independents and anyone outside of the ecosystem, we all had our doubts, right? But there was never any concrete reporting. Like, for example, I can speak about myself at least and the channel. When Obama didn't immediately endorse Kamala Harris, to me that was suspect because all these endorsements were coming out and it was like, why is he waiting? And so a lot of us drew conclusions, but again, there was never any confirmation. Well, for the first time ever, thanks to all these books and all these exposés and tell-alls, we now know that yes, that was a strategy by Barack Obama. Take a look at what was said on MSNBC.
So President Obama absolutely did not think that Joe Biden should continue, according to our sources close to President Obama. And he also didn't want Kamala Harris to be the replacement for Biden. He didn't think that she was the best choice for Democrats. And he worked really behind the scenes for a long time to try to have a mini primary or an open convention or mini primary leading to an open convention. Did not have faith in her ability to win the election. So, and as it turned out, she didn't win, but he was really working against her. In one moment, he had set up a phone call with Congressman Clyburn from South Carolina on the day that Joe Biden handed off the baton to Kamala Harris. And Obama had set up a call with Clyburn for like 5:30 that afternoon. And Clyburn thought to himself, this guy's going to try to rope me into the open convention thing. I better get my endorsement of Harris out there fast so that this is a short conversation.
Wow.
So that's, and when Harris talked to Obama on the day that Biden handed off to her, Obama was unwilling to give his endorsement then.
So not only was Obama unwilling to give his endorsement, we now know why he ended up folding. It was all about his reputation, because Obama has a reputation of loyalty to the Democrat Party, which I think is important. It's not loyalty to the United States, not loyalty to just the awesome power of the Oval Office, but integrity to his own party. I thought that side was all about country over party. Apparently not. Obama here, let's take a look at that second paragraph. As the hours rolled by and it became clear that she was well on her way to seizing the nomination by storm, Obama's opposition to her grew more confounding. Harris was, quote, very annoyed with him, according to the confidant. They had plenty of donors and political allies in common. The rest of the party threw in with her. Where was Obama? Then let's skip down to the last paragraph here. However, Obama spoke with Harris over the next couple days, according to the book, and he found that he was in a position where his, quote, actions against Biden and Harris could diminish him in the eyes of Democratic elites. So it was all about his position with the party, and it keeps going on about how he wanted to maintain his reputation of being a loyal Democrat. Well, one final story for today. Today is apparently the day of protesting by the Democrats. If something happens, I'll definitely make another video later this afternoon or later tonight. But over in Washington, D.C., this is just one of the dumbest things I have ever seen in a political protest. That is all the preview I'm going to give. I'm just going to play the clip, and let's just say I can't wait for the follow-up to this, because there will be a follow-up.
My name is Gracia Martinez Rosas. I am an immigrant. I am undocumented, unafraid, queer, and unashamed.
Look, no one ever accused leftists of being the sharpest knives in the drawer. I'm just saying. I would not be surprised if Tom Homan ends up paying her a visit tomorrow, or heck, even tonight. If there is an update to that story, I will definitely post it here on the channel. But as always, all of that is just my analysis and commentary. That's what's going on in the world of politics from my point of view, and I would love to hear from you. So, the North Carolina Supreme Court race, what do you think is going to happen there? Do you think we're just getting our hopes up over nothing? Do you think that this is, yes, finally, the courts are doing the right thing and really taking election integrity seriously? Or do you think there's going to be some sort of unintended consequence or some sort of outcome that is neither of those options? Let me know down in the comments below. Personally, I'm feeling really hopeful about it, and if it does go down the way it is currently expected to go down, where those 65,000 voters have to prove their identity, personally, heck, if they all come out tomorrow or Monday and verify and prove that they were indeed able to vote, and the Democrats still ends up winning, fine. Okay, they proved it. They won fair and square, and I think that's all the people want. Just prove that it was legitimate, and people will be willing to accept a loss. Sure, it may sting, but I truly don't think that Republican voters are just in denial over losses like this. They just have doubts about the system, and I don't see why it's so hard to enforce the rules that are currently in the law books, and to make sure many cat quakes today, and to ensure that only eligible voters participate in our elections. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask for, but it really does help me reach more viewers like you in the algorithm. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out one of these videos.